Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully you guys can hear me out there. This is Allen Devlin with Atlanta News First. Thank you so much for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. Watch this. I'm going to show you this. Watch this. Watch this. Boom. Readjust the camera right there. Let me make sure my audio is up right here. Turn it up. Yep, you guys can hear me. Thanks for joining me here at 8 o'clock, a little bit after 8 o'clock. I'll tell you why we were a little late today. We usually come on right at 8. We've actually got Cutter Martin over on Georgia's coast near Tybee Island, who's been doing a lot of work out there as this hurricane moves right for us. So we're going to actually bring him in here in a little bit to talk about what he's seeing out there, because this thing is going to have impacts for South Georgia, Georgia's coastline, Chatham County area, near the coast, near Tybee, going down towards Hilton Head as well. But that's South Carolina. But it's going to be, kind of all over the place here. It's going to slam into Florida for the most part. It's a hurricane Category 3 is what's being predicted right now. And Florida's already bracing for what is going to be a damaging hurricane. Right now, they're getting things in order. The National Guard's getting ready. The Coast Guard's getting ready. They're putting sandbags up at restaurants and stores and businesses, and they are doing everything they can to ensure that as many people as possible are safe, and they're also prepared for the response after the hurricane hits, because what comes next is going to be the recovery efforts, the response efforts, the getting the power grid back up, the getting the water out. This is a look at the Coast Guard there, getting ready to probably survey, getting ready to just be prepared for this hurricane that's going to slam into Florida and Georgia as well. It is an all-out effort right now down in Florida, and it's actually a state of emergency for both the states of Florida and the state of Georgia. Governor Brian Kemp declared that today for all of Georgia as we get ready for the hurricane, and Governor Ron DeSantis down in Florida warning everybody in that area to just get ready for what's to come. So, some tips for you guys here in the metro. We're really not going to get any severe impacts from the storm here in the Atlanta area. We're going to get some rain like we've gotten today, but actually the rain we've gotten today is not a part of the hurricane system. It's just rain that is apparently a system that's holding the hurricane back from us. That's actually causing it to roll east and stay out of the metro area. But it's still going to be a mess. I will be bringing in Cutter Martin here in a little bit. He'll talk to us about the storm. But in the meantime, we're going to move on there. We're going to get back to Hurricane Idalia in just a second here, as soon as Cutter Martin is going to come in live from Tybee Island. And we'll talk to him about what he's been seeing, because those swells and those waves are really already starting to kick up in the Atlantic. And he's got a first row seat to everything that's happening out there. In the meantime, I want to talk to you guys about another story here we are covering at Atlanta News First. This one was an insane story. It actually happened in July, I believe. Better Call Harry's been on it ever since. A Marta bus driver, I should say, was fatigued, closed her eyes behind the wheel, kind of lost that orientation, and slammed into a power pole right outside of an Atlanta home, shocking the entire house and basically zapping the wire grid. It's going to be about $90,000 to $100,000 to repair that house. And in the meantime, that woman no longer can live there because she doesn't have power. But Marta is taking full responsibility. What's so shocking about this is actually the video I'm about to show you here. It shows the inside of the Marta bus and the subsequent crash, the driver asleep behind the wheel, or at least with her eyes closed, for about 8 seconds. So look at this. Right here, you can see the driver. I'm going to take this down. We're on second 5, 6, closed, and then boom, slams directly into a power pole. And you can see that power pole hanging down behind the bus. All these Marta buses have a lot of cameras all over them so we can get these angles. The driver then realizes, what's going on, and she makes a phone call. You can see she's disappointed. And the thing is, the actual owner of the home is very sympathetic, because she understands stuff like this happens, and she's been in positions where she's been very tired behind the wheel. But Marta said even though that driver passed a drug test, post-accident drug test, they still had to be let go for obvious reasons. The buses are massive, and to lose control of one like that for even if it was 8 seconds, that could potentially be a deadly mistake in a lot of instances. Everyone's very lucky that the bus driver was okay, the homeowner was okay, and there were no other vehicles involved, because, one more time, take a look here, 8 seconds is a very long time to not have your eyes on the wheel operating a massive Marta bus off the road directly into that power pole. All right, so moving on here, actually, the next story that I've got for you guys here outside of that is one out of the Colorado area, where we had a group of fans rush Ronald Acuna Jr. Could be MVP of the MLB, Ronald Acuna Jr. And actually, hold on one second here because our friend Cutter Barton is giving me a call here. Hey, Cutter. Hey, I actually have your live shot up here, and all of ANF Plus is waiting on you to jump in with us.
Oh, okay.
Sound good to me? Sounds like we're ready to go. Let me make sure I got this up because I want to make sure the audio is up right here. Let me see if I can zap you in real quick, all right? All right. So, guys, I've got Cutter on the phone here, and he's going to be talking to us from Tybee Island, the Tybee Island area, and I want to make sure that I've got all this technological stuff up real quick. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to punch that there. I'm going to punch him there, and we're going to take it. All right, so Cutter, I believe we might have your shot up now. Say something for me. Let's test the audio on this real quick.
Yeah, we're live here on Tybee Island, South Beach area. Near the pier, you might be able to make that out behind me. The sun is setting. And the story side is about preparation, not evacuation. Here on Tybee Island, it's been a busy day. We've been talking to many folks from the surfers. Shouldn't be out there. Red flags are flying, not encouraging people to get into the water, but of course, surfers who see the red flags and they go. We spoke with some of them. This is kind of a pre-hurricane ritual for them. We compared it to hurricanes of the past 5 or 6 years. Matthew in 2016, Irma in 2017, and the surf setup they're saying is, the waves are already pretty high, but from a surfing perspective, the setup they are expecting tomorrow morning as one of the best of the summer. Best is what they were saying, the most surfable waves. But again, waves are already kind of splashing up to about the bottom of the pier. No damage, no pilings coming off, no 2x4s being kicked up from that rough surf. But a sign that, considering the storm is still the worst of it, more than 24 hours away from this area, waves are already kicking up. But you can see probably hair barely blowing. The salt grass here in the dunes barely moving. Winds are relatively light. And it's the dunes that are crucial here. The toll was taken after Matthew in 2016. Dunes were nearly lost, almost wholly and completely. And then again by Irma in 2017, there was more dune reduction. The city of Tybee Island, Chatham County, and the state of Georgia have done extensive investment into rebuilding these dunes, salt grass, and then the sand piling up itself. And it's crucial along these barrier islands, like right here, Tybee Island, from keeping the ocean out of people's property and to keep people safe. And it is the ocean rise, the high storm tide, that we're most concerned about here on Tybee Island. I was talking with First Alert meteorologists at our sister station WTOC here in Savannah, officially forecasting a tide of 10.1 feet at Fort Pulaski, the Savannah River entrance gauge there tomorrow evening. That's going to be the peak tide, also coinciding with the strongest winds, the heaviest rain, and that tornado potential. And we were discussing, and they've been discussing with the local National Weather Service office here, they're a little bit concerned that 10.1 could be on the low end of possibilities, and they may have to raise that. And what's important about that is anything above 10.2 to 10.5, and that could shut down the only road to and from the mainland, from Savannah to Tybee Island back to the mainland, Savannah, Georgia, all here in Chatham County. That route could be shut down for a period of hours tomorrow afternoon and evening, again, as we reach that peak tide. So, Alan, not in any evacuation order in effect, not mandatory, not voluntary. They do have sandbag stations free of charge. They dump the sand Memorial Park next to Tybee Island City Hall. Folks are coming and picking up sandbags. They're certainly preparing, but no call for evacuation. So far today, pretty calm. Nothing boarded up. Storefronts, though, the stores are a few rows inland from the beach. We still have some vacationers here. It's the weekend before Labor Day weekend. A lot of folks have come here from around the country. Talked with folks from Florida earlier, from Pennsylvania earlier, and they are here at the same time the storm is moving in. A lot of them choosing to leave tomorrow, head inland, and then hoping they can come back to resume their plans and their fun on Thursday. So, Alan, it's a scene of cautious optimism here. Certainly, folks are still preparing. There is likely going to be a curfew for the city of Savannah, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. to tomorrow night into Thursday morning as the worst of the weather moves through. And in the city of Tybee Island, also considering a curfew, the Chatham County Emergency Management Division, OPCON 3, that's level 3, meaning that they are really watching this closely and they are ready to deploy assets if necessary here in Chatham County, including the city of Tybee Island. So right now it's calm. We're going to wake up to rain tomorrow. Worst of the weather about 24 hours out. Heavy rain, gusty winds, the kind that'll bring down some limbs, knock out the power, that risk of tornadoes. But we're really watching tides, that risk of coastal flooding here along one of the most vulnerable barrier islands on the southeast coast.
Yeah, Cutter, a whole lot of information there. Perfect. Exactly what our viewers are looking for as they kind of get ready for this whole thing. I'll tell you what, we've got Courtney Jacobazzi, and we've got Joshua Skinner spread out through Georgia and Florida as this thing gets close. Yeah. If you guys want to hear more from Cutter, he's going to be out there near Tybee Island for the next several days, bringing you that upfront, front row coverage of this hurricane as it makes its way right across that Georgia-Florida line. So, Cutter, thanks so much for talking with us tonight. We'll see you soon. And stay safe out there.
Of course. Of course. Will do.
All right. So, guys, that was Cutter Martin there chatting with us for a little bit. He laid it out for you, and these are residents of our state that are going to be getting ready for that hurricane of that capacity. It's going to be a hurricane when it wipes through Georgia. It's not going to really turn back into anything lower like a tropical storm until it's into the Atlantic Ocean, where it's going to meander for a long while. But I am not a meteorologist, but I know where I can find one that's actually here in our newsroom. Patrick Pete joining alongside Cutter Martin, Courtney Jacobazzi, Ella Dorsey, Jennifer Valdez, the whole crew. Rodney, Fred, everybody's kind of looking at this thing. Biggest team of meteorologists here in the Southeast. So, Patrick, I guess this is kind of the lead story for at least the next couple of days, man.
It is. All eyes on Idalia, and also all eyes on the weather that we're tracking right now. And some of this, while not directly related, we technically have a boundary that's to the north and west of us, and then we have this tropical system that's throwing tropical moisture our way, and those two are colliding, and that's what's leading to the storms that have been firing up across the area. Wanted to go ahead and show you something. This is the National Weather Service's flood guidance. This is basically, they look at the forecast precip, they look at something that's called precipitable water, and they determine, hey, you know what, we could see some flooding. And right now there's about a 15% chance of us seeing flood watch or warning issued within any area that you see highlighted in this yellow on the screen. And we've been watching radar for the last few hours. It's been a bit active out there. Lots of thunderstorms have been firing up, and just over the course of the last few minutes, I actually want to go back real quick. Over the course of the last few minutes, we have seen a flood warning that has been issued for portions of North Fulton County as well as eastern Cobb County, stretching through DeKalb and Gwinnett, as some of that rain has been a bit aggressive over the course of the last hour. We're talking about 1 to 2 inches of rain falling in this area. That's going to include Sandy Springs, stretching all the way towards Lawrenceville, Peachtree Corners, Norcross, Doraville, even Brookhaven included in this. 1 to 2 inches of widespread rain with another inch possible. These storms have not been moving a lot, guys. This is a similar setup to what we saw last night, where a lot of us got some pretty intense rainfall, and more of this really just setting up. And you can see that's moving through northern Fulton County. There's storms to the south and west, moving through Douglas County. Folks in Douglasville getting heavy downpours right now, lots of lightning, and that's stretching towards Whitesburg, Carrollton, and the Carroll County, and that's moving through Heard County as well. And this is extending towards the north and east as well. So folks that are in Flowery Branch, Oakwood, Talmo, Houston, picking up on some of those heavier downpours. We have no severe thunderstorm warnings, but it's the rain that has been our primary focus this evening, and that's going to continue to be our story. Heavy downpours moving through Butts County as well. Folks that are in Henry County, Locust Grove area, we're seeing some showers in that region as well. And these folks have been picking up on rain for the last few hours on and off. They've seen it. It's moved from the south to the north, and it's been a bit aggressive, and we're watching storms that are firing up in portions of East Alabama as well. If you're north and west of the city, there were some storms that were moving through Floyd and Polk counties, not as aggressive, but still some showers there. It's going to be a very active evening, and that's why we first alerted today. These showers and storms we knew would produce a lot of rain, and that would lead to some localized flooding potential across the region, and that's what we're seeing unfold. So we'll be tracking these showers and storms through midnight, and I do think that we could see a lingering shower or two beyond midnight, but they should become more isolated in numbers, and we should see things start to dry out as we head into the early morning hours. Temperatures are going to gradually fall into the lower 70s as we kick off your Wednesday morning. And then our focus becomes Hurricane Idalia, which has intensified. We've been watching the pressure. There's a direct correlation between the pressure and the wind speed. As the pressure drops, those wind speeds kick up. And if you were with us earlier, the pressure was at around 972 millibars. That has dropped to 965. So now those winds are sustained at 105 miles per hour. You can see, while not perfectly symmetric, a very healthy hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico moving over some very warm waters. And that's why we expect more intensification as we head through the evening. So this is brand new information. This is that 8 o'clock update. Having those winds sustained at 105 miles per hour. That's still a Category 2 storm, racing to the north at 16 miles per hour. Here's a better look at our radar imagery. You can kind of see some of those intense rain bands around the system, but you can see them already moving inland into portions of Florida. And that process is going to continue as we head through the evening hours. Hurricane warning in effect for areas south of Panama City all the way down through Tampa. Fort Myers under a tropical storm warning. That's all set in place, and that's lifting northeastward into Georgia. You can see that coastline of Georgia under a tropical storm warning, even portions of South Carolina. So these impacts are going to be intense, and they're going to be inland. Folks that are in Albany, Vidalia could pick up on some tropical storm force winds as this system moves through, and they're going to get a lot of rain. We're talking about heavy downpour. So here is the National Hurricane Center's latest track, continuing that north movement for another few hours before we start to curve towards the north and east, expecting a morning landfall somewhere around 8 o'clock with winds sustained at around 115 miles per hour. That's going to make it a Cat 3, a major hurricane. Eventually, the system is going to ride the coastline, moving through South Carolina back into the open waters of the Atlantic Ocean as a tropical storm. And believe it or not, we're not quite done with this system yet, because the warm waters of the Atlantic, especially in this particular area, is going to be conducive for it to at least maintain its intensity, if not intensify, sometime Friday, Saturday. So we'll have to keep our eye on this. There's been some interesting developments over the course of the last, I'd say, 24 to 36 hours in relation to what happens with this system after the weekend. And we're going to get into that later in the week. We want to get you through what we know, the facts that we have as far as this system moving inland and bringing some impacts for sure to southern Georgia, but could lift as high as middle Georgia. Even some of our communities could pick up on some significant rain. Let's get you back to those impacts, because that's why you're here. So we'll adjust this, and we'll talk about the winds, because anytime a hurricane makes landfall, everybody wants to know where the strongest wind's going to be. And the good news for us here in North Georgia, that's going to stay well to the south and east of us. We could see some 20, 25 miles per hour wind gusts at times tomorrow, but we do expect the strongest winds, the tropical storm force winds, as far as Georgia is concerned, to be isolated to southern Georgia. That's going to include folks in places like Albany, Douglas, Valdosta, St. Simons. Even Savannah could get in on some of those tropical storm force winds, especially as we head into the afternoon. And I do think that there will be places just on the north side of the Florida-Georgia line that could pick up on some hurricane force winds, just with the intensity that the system is going to have for a few hours as it moves inland. But you can see that we're going to miss the most of those wind impacts here in North Georgia. But we are going to get some rain. Here's that hour-by-hour play of how this is going to roll out. We expect this to move inland sometime between 7, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning in the Big Bend area. And then you can see that some of those outermost bands, while the thickest of the rain looks to set up Wednesday at around lunchtime in places like Eatonton, Macon, along that Augusta line there, there will be some showers that lift a little bit further northward, and we could see some of that rain push in as far north as the I-85 corridor, and that's why we have that chance for rain tomorrow. That boundary is still going to be nearby, and the boundary is going to be the reason that the system starts to shift more towards the east. But as we push into the afternoon, we do expect some of those showers and thunderstorms to bubble up along the boundary, much like what we've seen today. That should be moving into places like Rome, Ellijay, extreme northwest Georgia. As that system pulls towards the east, it's going to pull that boundary with it as well. We'll see that moisture gradually start to decrease, and those rain chances should clear up as we head into tomorrow evening. As far as rain totals are concerned, we are expecting the flooding potential in some of our counties. This isn't going to be most of you. We're watching our southeastern corner of the state. We're talking about folks that are in Jasper, Putnam counties, as well as Greene County. The National Weather Service has placed you under a flood watch, as the potential for rain totals 1 to 3 inches exists for those 3 counties inside of our viewing area. But the further south and east you go, the higher those totals are expected. So thankfully, we're going to miss out on the bulk of that. Still expecting it to be a gloomy day with showers. Best chance for showers and thunderstorms in Atlanta will be closer to around early afternoon, 12 to 4 o'clock. Folks south and east of the city, you're going to have a longer window just because you're going to be closer to the center of circulation. I don't really think this is going to be massively impactful for us. This is going to be a bigger story for some of our neighbors to the south and east. And on the backside, we're going to see lower humidity start to filter in as we head into your Thursday. Good morning temperatures in the upper 60s. Temps get into the upper 80s in the afternoon. Really a golden forecast for Thursday and Friday. You're looking to get out and about this weekend. Saturday and Sunday's looking pretty sweet with highs in the mid to upper 80s. And as we push into Labor Day, daytime highs are going to hit 90 degrees, and that's how we're going to hang out through the beginning of next week. So I know there's a few more people on the stream this evening. I am looking to see what's going on. I'm looking at these comments. There's a lot of comments on here. There's a lot of y'all talking. I'm looking to see if there are any questions about. Oh, someone said no rain in 305. Yeah, this isn't going to be a Miami issue. This is going to be a Gulf of Mexico side of Florida issue. There will be some showers that move inland for sure, but I think you're okay down in Miami. Someone asked, where's 305? Yeah, that's Miami. LOL 305, you do know? Yeah, so yeah, for sure. We know that the storm is nowhere near you, but a lot of folks have family down in South Georgia, and folks have family in Florida and property down there. So our goal here is to tell stories that impact not only our area, but our viewers. So hopefully you were able to take what you needed to know from this. Hopefully you were safe and that you and your family stay safe, and you'll be good there. So be that I answered the one question that seemed to be in the chat. I'm going to leave you guys with the 7-day forecast so you can plan ahead. There's some storms that are out there in the background producing some rain. Need to go and dive into this flood warning to see what those rainfall rates are in those neighborhoods and see if we can get any reports confirmed of some of that water rising. Hopefully you all are being safe if you're stepping out this evening. The rain is coming. It's essentially across a large chunk of our region, and that's going to be the story for the next few hours. So you guys can catch us on Peachtree TV at 9 and 10. Me and meteorologist Fred Campagna are going to be breaking down the latest info, and then he is going to be on Atlanta News First at 11. And there's going to be a couple of model runs that come in between now and then. I'll be showing the newest it's the Rapid Refresh model. At 9, Fred's going to be showing a new version of that at 10, and then we're going to have new information from the National Hurricane Center at 11 o'clock for the newscast with the latest intensity, which I'll be honest with you, with the pressure dropping, that's kind of a no-brainer. The winds are probably going to kick up a notch, and he's also going to have the latest track and the newest timeline for rain and which areas we think will get some of the heavier bands tomorrow. So leaving you with the 7-day, and y'all can catch me on the tube. Have a good night.